You will not believe how I made this trendy top and skirt. If you're interested, please watch to the end, like, share, and subscribe to my channel. But first, let me start by introducing myself. Hi, my name is Anna Fashion Lounge, and I'm talking about everything fashion, pattern drafting, online and physical tutoring, and many more. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to do is to draft your basic bodies, your basic skirt, and your basic sleeve. So if you're interested, if you want to know how to draft your basic skirt, your basic top, skirt, and sleeve, I'm going to put the link on this side of the video so you can watch it before we continue. So after doing that, I'm going to go ahead to measure my under bust line, which is for 14 and a half. So after measuring 14 and a half, I'm going to go ahead and measure my back waist length, which is also 14 and a half. So I'm going to measure it from the center back to the side. So after doing that, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to measure I'm going to be measuring my bust radius. My bust radius is 4 inches. So I'm going to mark 4 inches round my bust point. So after measuring it around my bust, I'm going to connect it just as you can see me here. So it is going to form a perfect circle. Then after doing that, I'm going to measure my under bust difference. It is also called empire contour. So how to get it? You're going to measure your under bust on your body, your under bust circumference on your body minus the under bust sandpaper divided by 2. So for my body it is 33, 32. Then for the body it is 33. So I'm going to divide it by 2. Whatever I get, I'm going to divide it by 4. So that means 32 plus 36. So which is going to give us 4. So this 4 we are going to divide it by 4. So whatever we get, we are going to be measuring it on each side of our bust radius. So after doing that, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to connect it. I'm going to be connecting it I'm going to be measuring it on each side of the bust radius. And then after doing that, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to measure my dart on the top length, or if you decide to use your hip, you measure it on the top length and connect it to your dart. You do the same thing for the back. You connect it, then you draw the line. So after doing that, you connect your bust point to the dart also. Then you connect your bust point to the under bust difference, which is also called the empire line. So after doing that, then you connect it, the under bust difference, you connect it to the top length. So in order to get a very nice shape at the hem of your top, you're going to come up by 2 inches at the side and connect it with your hip curve, just as you can see me do here, to give your top a very nice look, a very nice shape, and it's going to give you that symmetry. So that's one of the function of that line. So after doing that, the next thing I'm going to do is to connect it to I'm going to be connecting the under bust difference to the bust point, but this time around it's going to be with a curving line. You can decide to use a curvy ruler to do that. It's not compulsory you use your hand. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to shape my neck. I'm going to be shaping it. Now, as I'm making it, I make sure that it is not too wide, and the reason is because I don't the front part is going to be having a zip, so which means I have the option of opening the zip up. So that is the reason why it is not too wide. So whatever alteration I made for the back, I'm also going to do the same thing for whatever alteration I made for the front, I'm going to be doing it for the back in order to give you the nice symmetry. So after doing this, the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out my pattern. So after before I cut the back, I'm going to align my back waist, because we don't need the initial waist for the back, because our front waist is very different from our back. If you want to understand more, please watch my video on how I draft my basic body, so you're going to understand better. So in order to do that, so I'm going to go ahead and measure my I'm going to go ahead and close it, as you can see me do here, and reshaped the dart. So in order to give it a nice symmetry. So if you notice very well, you see that when I was measuring when I was connecting the dart for the shoulder to the dart, I did not see anything. That was because that was a mistake. So this is how the shoulder dart is supposed to be. I'm going to divide the shoulder by 2, then connect it to the dart. So the first one was a mistake. Then I'm going to go ahead and label my pattern, which is very important. You label your center back, your side, the upper part of your back, the side of your back, the center back, and the lower part of your back. Now this is just not to avoid confusion. So I'm going to go ahead and tape down these parts so that there won't be any confusions. So as you can see here, I'm going ahead to cut out the dart, the things I don't need. So I've already cut out the dart. Now for the skirt, this is a basic skirt, and this skirt, it was drafted to my knee. And because I want the skirt to be a little bit short, I'm going to cut out 5 inches above my knee. As you can see me do here, I cut out 5 inches above my knee in order to give it the length I want. So the next thing we are going to be doing is to start cutting our fabric. So now to cut our fabric, as I said earlier, the zip is going to be at the front. So I'm going to be adding zip allowance at the front. So I'm going to be adding zip allowance at the front. Now, in order to achieve this, the first thing I'm going to be doing is to add 1/2 inch for sewing allowance, for sewing the lining and the fabric together, then 1 inch for the zip allowance, which is 1.5 inches. So 1.5 inches is what I'm going to be cutting for the front. Now there are other ways to do it. You can decide to use 1 inch, then you join the zip and the lining and the fabric together on the zip. Don't worry, you're going to see how I'm going to do this. I'm just trying to explain here. So for the hem, I'm going to be using 1/2 inch. For the that side, I'm going to be using 1/2 inch. While for the side, I'm going to be adding I'm going to be using 2.5 inches for the side. So I want to use this opportunity to tell you that ambition is going on in my fashion school for the September batch. So if you are interested and you want to know more about pattern drafting, please, and you are in Ibadan, please comment in this video or send me a WhatsApp message. I'm going to be dropping the number you're going to send it to on in the comment section. So send me a message. Let us so to make more inquiry. I'll be waiting for your messages. So for the armhole, I'm also going to be using 1/2 inch. The neckline, I'm also going to be using 1/2 inch also. So I'm going to proceed to cutting my fabric. So I'm going to be doing the same thing for the back also. I'm going to measure 1/2 inch, then I'll also measure 1/2 inch on both sides. For the center back, I'll use 1/2 inch because I'm not going to be using zip for the back. And yes, you have to open it up. So don't say because we are not using zip for the back, you're not going to open it up. Don't forget that the back is not going to be straight, because we have removed something from it to make the back very smooth. So that is the reason why I'm cutting it on. I'm adding my sewing allowance there, because I'm going to be cutting it and sewing it back together. So for the shoulder, I also add 1/2 inch, and the neck I also add 1/2 inch. So this is the side, the side for the back. Now for the side, I'm also going to be adding whatever I added at the front, at the side is also what I'm going to add at the back. So every other thing will also be 1/2 inch. Now for the skirt, I'm going to be placing my skirt pattern on my fabric. Now the center front is going to be exactly on the tip of my fabric. Then I'm going to measure 2.5 inches at the side. Then on the hem, I'm also going to be measuring 2.5 inches for the hem. On the waist, I will use 1/2 inch. So the same thing goes for the back, just that this back this time around is going to be having, the center back is going to be having a zip allowance. So I'm going to be adding zip allowance, which is 1.5 inches for the back, for the center back. And on the side, I'm also going to be adding whatever I added at the side for the front, I'll add it at the back too. So in order for me not to make the video too long, I'm going to be stopping this video here. So I'm going to be continuing this video in the next video. See you guys in the next one. Bye.